After a statement win against the Cowboys, the Broncos are back at home with a shot to go undefeated against NFC East opponents in 2021. Can Denver ride that wave of momentum they found in Dallas to a win over the Eagles? We'll take a look at the matchups this week and why this game might turn into a shootout if history tells us anything about these two teams. Welcome in to Broncos Weekend, everybody. I'm Matt Boyer alongside Alexis Perry and the Hall of Famer back in the gold jacket, Mr. Steve Atwater. Looking good.
I love wearing this jacket. That means we're winning.
The mood in Broncos country, guys, probably as high as it's been since the beginning of the season. A dominating win by the Broncos in Dallas, one of the most complete wins that we've seen in recent memory. But as Teddy Bridgewater said, Alexis, you have to remember that dark place they were in a couple of weeks ago. Use that time as momentum as we take a look at the quarterbacks in this one. AP, Denver's offense, extremely efficient. They converted on over half their third downs. Teddy hit on some big plays. What did you like about Teddy's game in Dallas that could transfer over against Philly?
Well, I liked everything about Teddy Bridgewater's game in Dallas. I know some people feel like calling someone a game manager is a dig, but it's really not. A game manager is somebody who keeps his team on the field, and Teddy Bridgewater did that for over 41 minutes. A good game manager, those are the guys that don't put their team in trouble. And he did that by not turning the ball over. So I really do think Teddy Bridgewater is a fantastic game manager, and he proved that again on Sunday against Dallas. Like you mentioned, he connected on critical third downs. He showed that he has some arm strength on that 44-yard bomb to Tim Patrick. But I really do need to give credit where credit is due to Pat Shurmur, because he put Teddy Bridgewater in a position to be successful. Not only did they stick to the run game, but he also used 12 personnel, a season-high 32 times, which gave Teddy Bridgewater some extra protection, and it also gave him plenty of weapons to choose from. So all in all, a fantastic game plan by Pat Shurmur and even better execution by Teddy Bridgewater. Hopefully they can rinse and repeat this week against the Eagles.
Yeah, 40 minutes with the ball. Game manager, I say a winner, right?
Yes.
That's exactly
We'll
what
take it.
Broncos country will take. Steve, when you've got the ball for 40 minutes, it's hard to score, right?
Yes.
And if you're the Eagles and you want to run the ball, that's really hard to do. Jalen Hurts, he's a huge part of the run game, right? 17 times. He only threw it 17 times against the Chargers. His rating, though, was over 100, so he was very efficient. This guy can sling it, though. 387 yards against the Chiefs. How do you think the Broncos can defend against a guy who is a little bit run first but can also throw it?
Well, that's a good question, because we don't know what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do. Are they going to go back to what they were doing in those 7 games when they were 2-5, when Jalen Hurts averaged 34.5 attempts per game? Or will they go back to the last 2 games where he averaged 17 and 14 attempts per game? According to Next Gen Stats, he is best when he's throwing the ball either intermediate or deep in the middle of the field, and he's worse when he's throwing it short to deep on his left. What I'd like to see us do is bring some pressure to his right side, force him out of the pocket to the left. We got to keep contained, though, because if he gets out of contain, he's going to run it, and he's very good at that. Force him out to the left, make him throw where he's not good at throwing it at, and I think I like our chances there.
Vic Fangio was very complimentary about some of their shotgun option concepts. You just mentioned, getting out onto the edges. This team is very dangerous when they do that. They love to run the ball, as we've alluded to. And this game features 2 great running backs coming off of great games, Alexis, in the Rookie of the Week, Javonte Williams and Jordan Howard for the Eagles, as we take a look at the running backs. Williams, his first 100-yard game, AP. He's breaking tackles everywhere, and some folks in Broncos country want him to see the ball a little bit more. Now, how does this performance last week impact the balance of Denver's running game in your mind?
Well, there's no denying that Javonte Williams was outstanding last week, but he's been really outstanding this entire season so far. He's tied with Nick Chubb for the most missed tackles forced on runs with 35, and he leads the entire NFL in yards after contact. But I'm actually going to say something that I don't think most of Broncos fans are going to like. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no need to really change the number of carries that these guys are getting. Last week, we're talking a difference of 4 carries, 17 for Javonte, 21 for Melvin Gordon. Do I think that distribution can change from game to game and we could see the balance shift a little bit towards Javonte? Yeah, but don't look for anything too extreme. We all know running backs tend to have the shortest careers given how beat up these guys get on every single play. I would personally rather see a running back by committee so we can enjoy a longer career for Javonte Williams. Then the tread on the tires, they're going to get worn out. He might not play as long as we'd like. So I would rather see these guys sharing the carries, especially throughout the rest of this season, like they have been.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon, 6 touchdowns already this season. That's nothing to shake a finger at, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, very much still a focal point of this offense. Steve, on the flip side with Howard, he gets elevated off the practice squad to the active roster for the Eagles, and it's well-deserved. 3 touchdowns last couple of games. He was the leading rusher last week. What type of challenge is this Eagles run game for this Broncos defense? We alluded to it a little bit. It's kind of a 3-headed monster with Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, well, Jordan Howard, he had a really successful career when he started off with the Chicago Bears. He had 2,000-yard seasons. In his third year, he had like 950 yards. So we know that he can do the job. They know that he can do the job. Now, coming in, I think right now, though, I think Jalen Hurts is probably their biggest running threat right now, and he's the most effective guy with the ball. Now, we're going to have to buckle up like we did last week. Guys up front are going to have to bring it, stop that run. Linebackers are going to have to play well. If we do that, I think we can contain the run, but they're going to try and run it. If they can have some success doing it, they're going to continue to do it.
You mentioned it. Since that Thursday night game in Cleveland, the message was received, and the Broncos have really buckled down on the run game. Only 51 yards allowed, and that was to Zeke Elliott. That's the highest rushing total that any running back has gotten against this Broncos team. AP, we've got to talk about the defense because they played outstanding in Dallas. Let's look at those linebackers. Jonathan Cooper and TJ Edwards for the Eagles. Cooper was close on some of those big sacks in previous games, but last week against Dallas, he breaks through for 2. How much do you think they're going to lean on this rookie, this guy, for the rest of the year here?
Well, this is the NFL's next man up mantra to a T. A future Hall of Famer departs, a rookie steps in, and he exceeds expectations with 2 sacks. Jonathan Cooper said it before that game that it's really time for him to grow up. He can't use being a rookie as an excuse for a little bit of a learning curve. He needs to go in and he needs to make the big plays like we saw Sunday in Dallas. Now, are the Broncos going to lean on him? Of course, but I think they're leaning on every single guy on the field. It doesn't matter which position or what their experience is each week. So Jonathan Cooper, I think as a whole, we all know he has the talent. He has the work ethic to be a dynamic player in the league. And this is his second start Sunday against Dallas, will be his third start this Sunday against the Eagles. So I really think that we can expect some ups and downs from him, but he's proven that he deserves to be in this league, and it really doesn't matter where the guy was drafted.
Yeah, getting Malik Reed back healthy and Bradley Chubb will also really help this Broncos pass rush and defensive line as a whole. Steve, on the flip side, the Eagles, they didn't play that great. They only got 1 quarterback hit against the Chargers, 0 sacks. Justin Herbert was 32 of 38 for over 300 yards passing. They were solid against the run, though. Edwards was a tackling machine. Is that the way Denver has to attack these guys? Is just kind of through the air, throw, throw, throw?
You know what? I think so, but you never can underestimate a team and say, well, they're not going to do it or they're not good at this, because then they'll come out and show you just the opposite of that. I think the offense and our offense, specifically the passing game, will be able to hit on all cylinders against this defense. They do have the 7th highest graded pass rush in the NFL, though, according to the grades on Pro Football Focus. Now, we're going to have to do a good job up front of protecting Teddy Bridgewater. The Eagles have only allowed 2 wide receivers to surpass the 100-yard receiving mark. So I think it's going to be difficult for any one of our guys to get over 100 yards, but together, collectively, I think we'll be able to have a solid performance from that wide receiver room, passing room, and make Broncos country proud.
We've got to take a quick break, but when we come back on Broncos Weekend, the Eagles and Broncos haven't met often, but when they meet, records always seem to fall. We'll explain why history says Sunday could be a high-scoring affair. That's next. The Eagles and Broncos all-time series dates back to 1971, with the 2 sides only meeting 13 times in their shared history. Denver's first win against the Eagles came during the final home game for one of Broncos country's finest players. In 1975, running back Floyd Little said goodbye to the hometown fans with 150 yards of total offense and this 66-yard touchdown reception as Denver beat Philly 25-10. After the game, the franchise was carried off the field on the shoulders of his fans in one of the most memorable moments in team history. While Philadelphia holds an 8-5 record against Denver all time, the Broncos are 4-2 when the 2 teams meet in the Mile High City, and they haven't lost to the Eagles at home since 1989. The previous 2 times the Eagles flew to Denver, the Broncos tied the franchise record for touchdowns scored with 7 in each game. In 2005, Denver scored 4 first-half touchdowns against the Eagles, with Mike Anderson and Tatum Bell each running for over 100 yards in the game as the Broncos beat Philadelphia 49-21. And in 2013, their most recent meeting in Denver, kick returner Trindon Holliday's 105-yard touchdown return tied the record for longest kick return TD in franchise history.
You're not going to catch him. Trindon Holliday to the house.
Denver's offense also made plenty of house calls as Peyton Manning's 4 touchdown passes helped the Broncos blow out the Eagles 52-20.
Quick throw, right side. He wants Demaryius Thomas. Thomas with the catch, and Denver has a touchdown.
Those 52 points that day still stand alone as a franchise record for the most points scored in a game by the Orange and Blue. From the franchise all the way to the newest Broncos Ring of Famer Peyton Manning, these Bronco Ring of Famers always seem to step up in the biggest moments against the Eagles in that mile-high air. Welcome back to Broncos Weekend, everybody. Okay, Steve, you were 1-3.
Come on, boy. No. Cut that out.
You are 1-3 against the Eagles in your career, but you destroyed them in 1998, the last time you played the Eagles, 41-16.
That's what counts.
Right. Well, Bubby Brister, in relief of John Elway, you remember, 4 touchdown passes, a great game. You go out on a high note, so that's what matters.
Yeah.
But what do you remember about these Eagles teams, these Buddy Ryan teams, these guys from the early 90s to mid 90s? What do you remember about these guys?
Man, what comes to mind is tough, gritty, competitors. I played with guys like Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, Jerome Brown, my good friend Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner, who played with us in the Super Bowls. Those guys were all competitors, and it was fun playing them.
As we saw, Steve, if history says anything about this game, points could be aplenty. And 2 guys who figure prominently into that equation are going to be the Alabama wideout duo. Jerry Jeudy on one side for the Broncos, Javonte Smith on the other. Both guys led their teams in receptions last week, but what type of role do you see each of these guys playing Sunday for their respective teams?
Well, I've been really proud of Jerry Jeudy that I know he really wants to have a breakout year this year, but he's been patient, he's been calm. I know he had the setback with the injuries and that, but I think he's right on pace. We saw in training camp he and Teddy Bridgewater really had a really good connection, and I think that's going to continue the more that Jerry Jeudy's on the field. Now, Javonte Smith, he had the good fortune of playing with his current quarterback in college for a couple of years, so I think that gives him a leg up. Now, he's had an up and down season so far, but I think they will try to hit him on the deep ball because he has great speed and great hands.
Steve, we can't go to break without acknowledging the play of a young safety. I know you're proud of your safeties on this team, and Caden Sterns, the rookie, has been playing exceptionally well lately.
Yes. 2
interceptions, 4 pass breakups on the season, and he's only seen about 17 defensive plays a game. How impressed are you with his ability to make these types of plays in limited action?
Yeah, I mean, it's very impressive for a rookie player to come in and have the type of impact that he's had. He's done a great job of learning from Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson, just kind of soaking up all the knowledge that they're giving to him. I'm really proud of him. I'm anxious to see, I'm excited to see what he's going to turn into, what type of player he's going to turn into.
Sterns had 1 pick against Dallas, and he had a shot at another. It hit him in the chest. A deflection. If he would have held on to that deflection, Steve, he would have been the first Broncos rookie since a young Steve Atwater in 1989 to have 2 interceptions in the same game as a rookie. You remember that game?
Yes, I do, against the Raiders.
Yes, it was. It was against the LA Raiders. Very good. We've got to take a quick break. When we come back on Broncos Weekend, Alexis is chatting with ESPN's Jeff Legwold about how Denver's win against Dallas might shape not only this week, but the 2021 season as a whole. That's next. Welcome back to Broncos Weekend, everybody. This week, Alexis Perry is chatting with ESPN's Jeff Legwold about how the Broncos will look to avoid the dreaded trap game against the Eagles and what the Broncos win against Dallas last week could mean for the rest of their season in 2021.
Thanks so much, Matt. Leggy, the Broncos are coming off one of their most exciting wins in years over the Cowboys on Sunday. What are some of the key aspects from that game that you hope that they can reapply this Sunday against the Eagles?
Some of it, Alexis, is just, the things you wouldn't think about. Just confidence.
Yeah.
Just handling business, playing better than many expected with an awful lot of backups on the field. They showed the depth of their roster, the youth of their roster. All of those things count, and they all matter. and moving forward. Schematically, a lot of what they did on offense is what they've done when things have gone right this season. When Teddy Bridgewater's under center close to 50% of the time, Broncos are 5-0. They are 0-4 when he is not. So if they take those things moving forward, then I think they can build on it. But a lot of it is confidence, how you feel about yourself, where you think you fit in the hierarchy.
Well, on the injury front, the Broncos are down 13 starters at the end of Week 9. So thinking back to Week 9, who were some of the guys that stepped up and really impressed you? And how much will the Broncos need to rely on those guys moving forward?
Well, you know, a guy like Kenny Young, he just arrived in a trade, but he has become suddenly a very key member of the defense. Baron Browning continues his sort of level of play, keeps ascending, which is what they need to see. Jonathan Cooper, a lot of the rookies are really sort of, you know, they're being asked to do more than maybe they expected this far in the season, but, you know, they have to come through. Caden Sterns. Now this week, it's really the offensive line where you're looking at the replacements are going to have to come through. Likely 3 backups will play up front. They have to have a good day because a lot of things have gone wrong for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what has gone right a lot of time is their defensive front.
Well, the Eagles and maybe their fans, I guess I should say, are a little bit divided on their starting quarterback. Coach Fangio has been highly impressed by Jalen Hurts so far this season. So what is it about his game that you think poses big problems for this Denver defense, or could pose a big problem?
Well, a guy like Jalen Hurts, and why I liked him a lot better coming into the draft than some people did, but you just look at his resume. He's played in the biggest games as a college player. That translates. You're not going to rattle him, really. You know, he's achieved at the highest level at 2 of the most important programs in college football history. But again, in terms of schematics, they've done better when they've just accepted that they're a better team when they run the ball. They've run the ball at least 30 times in 4 games this year. They've won 2 of those games. So when they are that power first team and Hurts is running the little read options and the RPOs and all of those things, that's when they're better. And if the Broncos let them get in that kind of game, that's a tougher day.
Well, the Eagles, they have dynamic playmakers really on both sides of the ball. So what are some key matchups that you're going to be watching for on Sunday?
I think the biggest is, again, you want to look at that Philadelphia defensive front. Fletcher Cox has been awfully good for a long time, and the Broncos have to find a way to sort of deal with him. And if you do, teams have shown you can find room down the field in the passing game. But if Fletcher Cox has a big day, your offense isn't going to do a whole lot. And then, you know, defensively, they got to keep Hurts in the confined. You know, Vic Fangio has been more aggressive this year in terms of 5-man pressures when they've played the mobile quarterbacks. Heineke from Washington, and then obviously Lamar Jackson earlier this year. So they have to keep him hemmed in and make him play sort of an uncomfortable traditional game in the pocket. And if they can do that, I think they have a good chance of going into the bye at 6-4.
Well, like I mentioned, the Broncos are coming off a big win over Dallas. Next week is their bye week. So this really is and could be a trap game for the Denver Broncos. So how do they avoid that trap and head into the bye week with a 3-game win streak?
Yeah, it is a bit of a maturity test.
Yeah.
You know, how, you know, and the 3-0 start obviously turned into a 3-4, you know, trouble fest for a minute. So they've already seen the other side of it. They've seen when you don't handle success as well as you could. And I think that lesson plays well this week. I think the first quarter tells a lot of the story. If they come out like they did in Dallas and things are happening, then they're dialed in. If it becomes a good scrap, that works against the home team sometimes because the home fans get upset. Everybody's booing. You're going to the bye. What happened to 6-4? So I think a good start is really important.
Well, Legwold, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. You guys can find his work on ESPN.com. We will see you on Sunday.
Sure, I'll come.
Matt, back over to you.
Thank you, Alexis. Okay, Steve, the Broncos are looking to sweep divisional opponents in the NFC for the first time since 2015. Not a bad year for the Broncos. How are they getting it done this week? Your keys to the game.
First key is we got to contain Jalen Hurts. Now, the last time I said this was against Lamar Jackson, and we didn't contain him too well, but I don't think Jalen Hurts can hurt us if we keep him contained. On the other side of the ball, this Eagles defense is only allowing 3.96 yards per rush attempt, which is 6th best in the NFL. I think that the play-action pass, us running the play-action pass effectively, will be key to helping us control the clock and keep the ball moving.
For me, Steve, it's about stopping Javonte Smith. Here's a stat for you. He's been targeted 62 times this season. The next closest guy, Dallas Goedert, the tight end, with 37. So if you stop Smith, you play sound assignment defense in the run game. I don't see a scenario where the Broncos don't come away with a win. Do you?
No, that's right. And how do we do that? Do we double team them?
Yeah, you can't put a safety over the top. Hey, whatever it takes.
That's right. Got to keep covered.
And keep Steve in that gold jacket, right? All right, Broncos country, that's going to do it for us on Broncos Weekend. For the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, I'm Matt Boyer. So long, Broncos country. We will see you next week.